Good morning, everyone. The April 25th Board of Directors meeting is called to order. First, I'd like to ask our interpreters to explain how to access interpretation.
Good morning. Announcement from the interpreter. To use interpretation feature, please go to the bottom of the Zoom screen where the meeting controls are. Click on the interpretation icon, world, and select English as your language. If you're joining through the Zoom mobile app, cell phone, tablet, etc., please press ellipsis, 3 dots, then interpretation, and then choose your language. Finally, click on the mute original audio to not hear the original Spanish low in the background. Headsets are available for interpretation if you're in the meeting room. Please check out the headsets from the receptionists in the lobby. Aviso por parte del intérprete. Para hacer el uso del servicio de interpretación, favor de desplazarse a la parte inferior de la pantalla de Zoom, donde aparecen los controles. Haga clic en el icono de interpretación, globo terráqueo y seleccione Spanish, español. Si está utilizando la aplicación móvil de Zoom, celular, tableta, etc., presione los puntos suspensivos, luego interpretación y luego el idioma. Si no desea escuchar el audio original en inglés en el fondo, por favor seleccione Mute Original, audio, silenciar audio original. Contamos con auriculares disponibles para el servicio de interpretación. Si se encuentra en la sala de reunión, favor de pedir auriculares con la recepcionista en el vestíbulo. Thank you.
Thank you. I'd like to take a moment to acknowledge the land that we call home. The tribal nations of the San Diego region have historically faced injustices. We acknowledge the harmony that existed between the land, nature, and its original peoples who have since endured displacement, persecution, and systemic oppression. We pay our respect to the unceded territory and homelands of the 18 tribal nations in our region, the most in any county in the United States, from 4 cultural groups, the Kumeyaay, Digueño, the Luceño, the Cupeño, and the Cahuilla. This land has nourished, healed, protected, and embraced them for many generations in a relationship of balance and harmony. As members of the SANDAG community, we acknowledge this legacy. We aspire to learn from Indigenous traditional knowledge and experiences in undoing the justices of the past. Now, please stand and join me for the Pledge of Allegiance. Ready, begin.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Michael, can you please confirm quorum?
We do have a quorum, Chair, with the cities of Chula Vista, Del Mar, National City, Oceanside, and Poway absent.
Please continue.
Moving on to public comment. As a reminder, no comments shall use loud, threatening, profane, or abusive language that disrupts the orderly conduct of the meeting. Disorderly conduct that disrupts, disturbs, or otherwise impedes the orderly conduct of the board meeting is prohibited. Per our board policy, the amount of time allowed for each verbal public comment is determined based on the number of agenda items, the complexity of those items, and the number of persons anticipated to offer comment. This allows us to hear from as many people as possible and to complete our business while we still have a quorum. Based on those factors, the chair has determined that for today's meeting, each member of the public will be allowed 2 minutes for their comments, and we have 9 non-agenda public comments.
Okay, we'll take them all now. And
First,
please go call the first speaker.
First is Truth, followed by Parita Javier.
Our sound is a little challenged here. We're aware of it and we're working on it. So everybody remember, please, like just about gobble up the microphone and you get very close. Michael, can you please call the first non-agenda public comment?
Truth, followed by Parita Javier.
All right, first, I just want to give an overdue shout out to Jack for being a genuine human being. And Jay Dunn Coronado has taught me that SANDAG has completely failed to address one particular form of transportation, the ferry. It's very fun. Last meeting, Mario made a big deal about parking validation for everyone. Is that because most of you don't take public transit or bike or walk? Hypocrites. And how much has the move cost so far? I'm glad this area is finally ADA compliant, but this table's still way too far, making this place a literal echo chamber last meeting. You need less table and more seating over here. It's not enough. And the ropes actually feel a little bit claustrophobic, and physical barriers can create emotional barriers. It's a little concerning if hugs are going to be blocked. I still haven't even got a hug from Carolina. She don't even show up. Man, she needs to clean up her campaign signs in IB too. I also do not approve of the podium not being in the center because I can't see pretty much anybody on the left side of the room, although I now have a clear yet distant view of Rebecca, which I advocated for years to get. But now I can't see, I would say Allison, but I guess Jennifer today. There's no reason why this podium can't temporarily be in the center. Staff doesn't need to be here while people comment, and there's plenty of security. This mic is even wireless for an easy move. Not seeing our reps and having reps not see who's speaking is a crime. And now for the retreat, hire a sound engineer. Sorry, staff, but you guys always struggle at different buildings. And I've decided that the retreat should definitely be in underserved East County. For example, the city of Santee, so everyone can understand the issues of the 52 and the East County portion of the 125. Also, it's completely unethical to have two chairs in a row pick locations that are convenient for them. When it was a chair in South County, we got our alma mater. When it's a chair from Coastal North County, we get Coastal North County. Now enough of the selfish games. It almost makes me want to boycott it. And without a remote participation option, SANDAG has not only failed those in the rural areas, but also that ever-distant, non-existent, and possibly illegal goal of equity. But ending on a positive, I'm feeling pretty good about Zeldin's promises and plans. All he's got to do is follow through and then include SANDAG in those plans. Thank you.
Next is Purita Javier, followed by Cesar Javier. You can go ahead and start comment.
Good morning. I am Purita Javier. To whom it may concern, my patient, Purita Javier, requests my documentation in regards to how her surrounding environment affects her health. She continues to have significant anxiety and regards to the possible health effects related to air quality around her home. Her neighbors have account the use of which may have contributed to adverse symptoms, if not to her health, physically, then psychologically. Scoring for depression via the PHQ-9 symptoms, if not to her health, physically, then psychologically. Scoring for depression via the PHQ-9 questionnaire is 16, which is moderately severe. Scoring for anxiety by the GAD-7 questionnaire is 16 in the moderate anxiety range. She lives in fear in her own home and avoid being outside. This anxiety has contributed to increased forgetfulness and elevated blood pressure. Her symptoms are compounded by moderate, late onset Alzheimer's dementia, in parentheses G30-1.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Next is Cesar Javier, followed by Alan C.
Cesar Javier, we have been engaged with the leadership of the city of San Diego. The police cannot investigate because the ceramics manufacturing kiln industrial home business has a business tax permit, $38 annually, since 1984. Councilor Lacaba was then the chair Environment Committee. He declared, Cesar, I will talk to Councilor Rivera, then the president of the council. Councilor Rivera declared, I will reach out with the Air Pollution Control District. Wow, he will reach out. He is a member of the governing board representing District 4 County of San Diego. And with the mayor there, with the mystic smile, both absenteeism practitioner. We reach out also with the chair, land use. If you know the general provision land use counselor, chair, you know the answer. We reach out the county, and this is what we get. Cesar, and I told him, you are a hero. You are solving our issue. And he said, don't tell it to anyone. This is for you. Is that not a violation of social justice? Or let's say justice. No one is above the law, or no one is below the law. They violated that basic natural law, if I may say it. Attorney from Harvard, sir. And now we have been reaching a pollution control district. They do not want to know us or for us to know their secret. Air pollution control district is not an entity to protect our air. They are
Thank
doing
you, Caesar.
business.
Your time
Money,
has expired. Next is Alan C., followed by Catherine Rhodes.
Oh, hang on. Hold. Hello, welcome to the new dig, sir. However, it's a freaking concert hall because the echo. Can you hear me okay? Can you see me? No, this half the room cannot see me. So point of order, this podium needs to be dead center so both sides can see me. And oh, by the way, half you people are on your tablets. Look up here. So the public speaker, give us the courtesy. Tijuana sewage. Let's talk about that. Tuesday, they said, yes, we will hold Mexico accountable. Will SANDAG stop the commerce in the Yuletide crossing, 32 billion, and hold them accountable? Because I'll tell you what's going on. You got thousands of shacks down in Mexico, just south TJ, no running water, no sewage pipe. So guess what? The whole Tijuana River cannot be treated until Mexico forces Mexico to put sewer pipes to all them poor people and connect them to the sewage plant. That's what your problem is, you idiots. The problem is that you cannot treat the entire river. 60 miles south, Punta Madera is dumping billions of gallons of raw sewage a day. Carolina, won't you speak up? I've been telling you, the poor people down there have no running water. They burn tires at freaking night, nothing. When are you going to solve this problem? Lee Zeldin says, yes, we will hold the tariffs, and we'll do that. But the solution is to get all them poor people down there on the sewer tap line so they're not forced to dump their sewer into the Tijuana River. Hydrogen sulfide, look it up. It's not USA plants, it's poop water. 80 years of this crap, literally. You want to force Mexico to do the right thing? I've told you guys in the past, hold them accountable, stop the commerce. Not people, stop the commerce. Watch how fast Mexico will stop the sewage, because the problem is all the poor people down there, they're forced to dump the sewer right to the river. And you cannot treat the entire river, you idiots. Get on the program, I yield back. And oh, by the way, before I yield back, I'm going to plug this in my house and raise my electricity rates. You're going to say I got to sit there in front of this thing instead of go outside? Is that your solution? It's a vote bribe, you idiots. God.
Next is Catherine Rhodes, followed by Blair Beekman.
Hello, this is Catherine Rhodes, and this is specifically for County Supervisor Joel Anderson, the Tribal Chairmen's Association, and the Association of Planning Groups, and maybe even Caltrans. So anyway, I always look at the county's periodic financial reports in the pooled investment fund. And right now, there's $237 million in cash in the pool investment fund. For example, in September 2016, when I started looking at all this, you only had 120 million in cash. So in 9 years, you have an additional 125 million more in revenue than expenses. So what you're doing is you're hoarding cash. Supervisor Tara Lawson-Remer said she's going to go into the reserves. These are part of the reserves, but it's not really a reserve. This is just your fund. You don't have to do anything except actually spend it. And so, I was thinking to maybe use it for homeless, but then I actually looked at the law. And all this money actually comes from the gas tax. I forgot if it was 11 cents or something that comes to different people. So anyway, what it says in the county's website is that you could use the road funds for roads, transit, and lighting. And Supervisor Joel Anderson wanted to find some money for transit to the backcountry of San Diego County, including the areas of Borrego Springs, Campo, and other areas. So this is funds, cash you could use that's being unused and being hoarded and increasing every year. That all this time, all these years, you could have actually, gone to MTS and say, hey, we have cash. We want to provide a place so people from Borrego Springs could, get a job somewhere if they don't have a car. Thank you very much. And hopefully those people will
Thank
come
you,
and talk to
Catherine.
me.
Next up is Blair Beekman, followed by allegedly Audra.
Thank you for your words. Something to really learn there. As a factoid, I've been learning that Mexico wants the future of the Tijuana River Valley to be using desalinization ideas and how to address the Tijuana River Valley. I think we have different ideas in this country. Really good luck in working together. Is there a clock? Yeah, there's the clock. Okay. This is my first time here. The room is kind of big and the echo is large. Maybe an idea is to place portable bunting along the sides here that you can take out after the end of the meeting and place it for the meeting that can dampen the sound a lot. I think it can help a lot and not intrude on our space here. So good luck in those sort of efforts and how to address the echo issues. And I'm in agreement. If it's hard to see people on this end, good luck on how we can work on that too. What did I want to say today? As my usual, I'm trying to work on tech accountability. I'm trying to learn the words and the importance of biometric technology for our community futures, and that we have a real difficult time to offer those words openly and publicly. Yet it's just become a regular part of our technology conversations and how we're building our community and our community future. Yet you guys don't know how to say those words very openly and publicly. I'm here to just say the words so it can be more comfortable for yourselves to learn how to say it openly and publicly. Good luck on those efforts. With my remaining time, with the toll situations with the border, on the border, a really good borders committee meeting coming up today, I think should be of interest to yourselves. With border issues and toll issues, there's going to be a lot of biometric tech involved there. And yet we don't know, we think that because it's dealing with cars and everything, we don't have to really talk with the public about it. Really good luck on making that an open and accountable process. And I hope you can work on that. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is allegedly Audra, followed by online public comment ending in phone number 672.
Good morning. So I think there's a lot of things that you guys should be aware of that are happening. And I'm going to continue to talk about children because children are our future, and what's happening with families, not only in San Diego, but across the nation and the world for that matter, is pretty terrifying. And everybody, again, is in the crosshairs of it. So imagine you and your husband or your spouse or whoever it is, and you have children, are doctors, you're psychologists, and you get diagnosed with bipolar disorder. You're getting treated for it, but the government decides to come in and say that you are an unfit parent. So they come and they take your children, put them into CPS, pass them around from foster care to caregivers, allowing your children to be abused, but that's okay. Then they find an adoptive family that's going to come in and care for your kids. And they make you feel that, wouldn't you want your children? I mean, they love their new foster family. Would you want to take them away from that? It's really sad to see the way that children are being ripped apart from their families, that parents are being alienated, demonized for different things. And with all of the behavioral health stuff that's going around, I mean, anybody could be diagnosed with something and they could just potentially arbitrarily say that you're not a fit parent. And these people that are deciding this aren't even fit parents themselves. But it doesn't really matter because it's about business. And there's a lot of families that are sitting here in this system for years on end, like they watched their children grow up in somebody else's hands and they don't have any say in that. And by the time they're out, they're an adult and they don't even know who they are. And so for all of you that have kids, imagine if somebody came to your home, ripped your child out of your arms, determined that you were an unfit parent, put them in somebody else's hands where they were being sexually abused, putting them on medication, and telling you that they're going to be better off with another family. Imagine what that's like. That's happening every day. That's happening right now. And it has to stop. But it won't until people acknowledge it and accept that that is the atrocity that's taking place.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Next is phone number ending in 672, followed by Paul the Bold. Go ahead, 672.
Yeah, that was awesome. Original draw. So yeah, I just wanted to take this time to reach out and encourage all of my county neighbors to do their best to participate and start paying close attention to our county board meetings, especially here, SANDAG, where much of the fraud, waste, and abuse occurs. SANDAG has gotten their nose into everything. It's supposed to be a transportation agency, but over the years they've usurped and have gotten into other functions and other areas, mainly building and housing. And just like every board in our county, from school to water authorities, they too have become sloppy, reckless, and unreliable in their operations. Just because SANDAG now sits in a fresh new office doesn't mean it's changed its dirty, corrupt ways. It is up to the people. It is up to us to really start monitoring and holding them accountable for their bad decisions, like being beyond irresponsible with our tax dollars. To the members serving on the board, reminder, if your presence in office is not elevating your community and your constituents, then what exactly are you even in office for? You don't listen to the ones whom you supposedly represent. Though most of you may be unaware of this, this system is collapsing. There are way too many who are suffering here in our county at the hands of our abusive, corrupt local government. So I suggest that we all take some time to really think about how we want our county and the people in these meetings to go. Because meeting after meeting, month after month, year after year, it's like it's getting really bad. But it's up to us. We can actually change that. It doesn't have to be this way. It really doesn't. And I'm going to be the first to alter my ways in shifting this new system, whatever it is you want to call it. But it is up to each and every one of us to, like, you know what? This is not going okay.
Thank you. Your time has expired. Next is Paul the Bold, followed by Marco Espinosa with our last public comment.
Okay, Paul the Bold. News reports are that the 5.2 magnitude earthquake on April 14th near Julian prompted the North County Transit District to temporarily suspend train service between Solana Beach and Sorrento Valley in San Diego County, California. The decision was made to ensure passenger safety and inspect the Del Mar Bluffs for any potential damage. Yet another commuter delay, or tourist. Besides all the weekend closures to stabilize the bluffs instead of moving the tracks. Julian is 50 miles away. Tells a lot about SANDAG, its concern for safety and the sturdiness of its structures. So, weak structures, unstable soil, SANDAG doesn't seem to have done a very good job of pre-planning. How long has this been in the works? 5 years? 10 years? Don't know why you kept the tracks in such a dangerous place. The current LOSAN plans don't seem planned to last. My suggestion is a train route going up the I-5 corridor to Oceanside and following the existing light rail corridor through South Oceanside, then through the Duluth area, avoiding the homes, and connecting to LA, and the bullet trains are that way with spur tracks to Campen as needed. Not something that will be eroded or flooded in 10 years. Glad the earthquake wasn't on the Rose Canyon fault. The good news seems that you seem to be coming around to a train track route going north of the Del Mar stuff and up the I-5.
Thank you, Paul. Your time has expired. Our last public comment is Marco Espinoza.
Hello, good morning, Marco Espinoza. Oh my, that photo, I apologize. I don't use Zoom very much, to be honest. Anyway, I didn't know that was gonna happen. Sorry, I got caught off guard. Well, something I wanted to talk about last meeting I attended, but I didn't get the opportunity to do. But no worries. I just wanted to offer an idea for the MTS, and I even might know where there's funding for it, supposedly, if you want to believe anything of the Trump administration. I had an email from the, not direct email, but a newsletter email from the VA some weeks back with the new VA secretary, mentioning how they're saving all this money and it was whatever, however millions of dollars. Anyways, with these millions of dollars that they're supposed to be saving to put towards government or veterans, other services and whatnot, something that we could, I think, as SANDAG, as County of San Diego, whatever, anyway, and MTS is make a new bus route, either directly through MTS or through a partnership with the local VA in La Jolla, because by public transportation, what I know you can do is, once you're on the trolley, love rail, you can get to the VA, and then the VA has their little shuttle from the trolley to the main entrance. I was thinking from the main entrance, there could be a free shuttle, either just for the general public or veterans, because there's many waiting around, sort of long time in the lobby. If they had something else to do, people who are injured just sort of sit and wait, right? They don't really have a choice. If there was a free shuttle to take them to Mount Soledad, and I already have the route planned out. I've thought about this already. And in terms of money, well, supposedly I know where there is some. I think it'd be wonderful. But more to talk about that later. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Chair. That concludes our public comment. And just for the record, the cities of Chula Vista, Poway, National City, and Del Mar are present.
Very good, thank you. Just for those of you who weren't here last time and didn't hear my announcement, we are very aware the room is gigantic, the table's too long, the public area is a little constrained, and the podium is not in an ideal location. Over the summer break, this will all be fixed, as well as the sound. I know I'm echoing right now, and it's difficult for all of us to hear each other, which is clearly a problem. So we're going to get that fixed. We also will be adjusting the monitors once everything's fixed so that there'll be better visibility for the public and for the board members. We'll have new technology at our places for us to see the presentations, the board members in front of us, but we'll also have the additional monitors relocated so that everybody else can see it as well. So with that, we'll go to any non-agenda member comments at this time. I see nobody on the board yet. Anybody? All right. Wow. Okay. So I will just remind you all that our board retreat is coming up next week, Thursday, May 1st and half day Friday, May 2nd. If you haven't RSVP'd yet, please make sure to let staff know as soon as possible. We hope you can stay the night as well, because it's a jam-packed day and a half of good information that you'll all want to be participating in. I'm really looking forward to a productive time at this retreat. So we want everybody's voice to be heard. So please attend. I also want to remind everyone that in addition to the retreat, we have an extra board meeting this month, the 5th Friday, as we all voted on as part of the revised calendar of meetings at the beginning of this year. So we're going to be here every single Friday except for one. Nice to see you all. With that, Mario is not here. He has a family emergency, so I'll turn this over to Antoinette.
Thank you, Chair Huebner. Good morning. Antoinette Meyer, your planning director. I'm filling in for Mario today, who couldn't be here. A couple of updates. Earlier this week, several of us joined Caltrans for a memorial to honor those who have lost their lives in service while maintaining and improving our California highways. So just wanted to appreciate and thank the crews who put their lives at risk every single day to ensure that our highways are safe and well maintained. And want to thank Director Fox for including SANDAG in the memorial service. Also, the board chair and I had the opportunity to meet earlier this week with leadership from the Business, Consumer Services and Housing Agency. That is the umbrella agency over HCD. And the focus of that discussion was RENA and our many concerns with RENA and our desire to see both administrative and legislative changes that we hopefully will be pursuing. As you know, that is a big part of our legislative platform. And we will be having a robust discussion at the board retreat next week on RENA and a lot of conversations, I think, throughout the coming months. As the board chair mentioned, we're adjusting to the new boardroom. I do want to, though, acknowledge our staff who've put in a tremendous amount of work to get us to this point. It has not been an easy lift getting into the boardroom, but like with any move, we learn as we go. We make adjustments and improvements. The board chair mentioned a handful of those. Our goal is to bring on a consultant to help get those done and have all of those improvements made by the fall. But in the meantime, appreciate your patience with the construction, and thank you for your patience while we work out those many kinks. Toll ups, we have 3 major steps left that we're in the middle of to get the new back office system up and running. That's the interface, the data migration, and user testing. And with the user testing, there are some issues that we've discovered. It could extend our go live date, but we'll keep you updated. We'll be coming back with regular updates on the launch of the new back office system and the schedule. Bike Anywhere Day, less than a month away. The pit stop map is live. We have pit stops all around the region. So anybody who's registered can now go online, look at the map, and start planning their Bike Anywhere Day route. So far, we have 2,300 folks registered. And every day, that number is growing. And we appreciate any help your agencies can do with getting the word out about Bike Anywhere Day. I am really proud of our staff who won multiple awards that we were made aware of in the last week, both from the American Public Works Association and from the San Diego American Planning Association. So the Pershing Bikeway won Project of the Year from the Public Works Association, and the San Diego Lagoon Restoration Project also won an Environmental Project of the Year. Our Housing Acceleration Program won an award from the APA. Our Vision Zero Action Plan also won an award from the APA, and our Regional Resilience Framework won an award from the APA. So congratulations to the teams who made those projects possible. We are planning the retreat, very busy with that next week, 2 days. So look forward to seeing you all there. Also in May, we have a really busy month. Several major projects are going to be released for public review. So that's the LoSAN realignment, NOP, the draft regional plan, 2025 regional plan, and the draft EIR for the 1578 connector. And then speaking of LoSAN, we were made aware this week that OCTA will be closing the LoSAN corridor to passenger service in San Clemente for more emergency repairs. That's going to start on Monday, and they're expecting it to be 6 weeks. So they'll be bringing back that bus bridge between Oceanside and Irvine. So that concludes my updates, and I'll pass it back to the chair. Thank you.
Very good. Thank you. All right, let's move to the consent agenda. Michael, do we have any public comments on consent?
Yes, we have 4 in-person public comment. And the first up is Truth, followed by Alan C.
Item 2, the minutes refer to a council member, Lauren Cazares. Is that the same Lauren Cazares who, as part of the San Diego Chamber of Commerce, came to Imperial Beach and seemed to value trade money over human life? Item 4, note of the Transportation Committee approving another $43.3 million to be wasted on double tracking. Tracks are going to end up tunneled in Del Mar. And item 5, it'd all be good investments if they weren't just going to dig holes later, but those fairgrounds are money, right? But what can be done to change the federal regulations to add cost as a decision factor and who gets the contract? Item 6, MTS should just be denied and defunded. The numbers for NCTD show just how inefficient that system is, over 7 times more the cost per revenue vehicle mile than MTS. And their excuses don't even hold up as well as MTS's. For Poway, there's no definition of the special circumstances excuse. Does that have to do with censured Tony causing problems and making people quit their city jobs? For Coronado, it sounds like they got things covered and it's just misreporting. Item 7, where are the capital improvements in the Green Line trolley? Only the blue line to UTC has great lighting and emergency buttons and safety buttons where it's not even needed. And ADA compliance is mentioned. Well, I've seen women in wheelchairs struggle to make it up the ramps to enter a trolley without help. What if nobody's around? For the bipartisan infrastructure, does the sub-program for low or zero emission vehicles still exist or did it get doged? For Project 8, the 6.8 million MTS elevator modernization, where did that happen? The Grantville trolley station has had broken elevators for years. For Project 59, the $13 million Elko and Transit Center bus improvements, that center shows no evidence of any improvements. There's even digital trolley signs that are upside down. And $500,000 went to upgrading the MTS boardroom, and they still don't have videos of their meetings. Lemon Grove is more advanced than MTS. That says everything you need to know. And I did some math on Antoinette's numbers, and what it said is that 0.0009% of the population are going to participate in Bike Anywhere Day so far. Thank you for spending so much money on that event.
Next is Alan C., followed by Blair Beekman.
What I said earlier, I apologize, being retired Navy and speaking with passion for my future grandchildren. When I call it out, I say it as it is, so bear with me. When I work on the flight deck, I also tend to talk loud. But bear with me, it's all because of passion to start doing the right thing in this board. Let's go to item 5. Didn't this board already say we're going to move the Del Mar track, including the entire track, all the way up Solana Beach and the whole works? And yet, the board also mentioned, imagine pristine lagoon back in the 1800s. And yet you stole $400 million as destined to move that track from the governor and going forward to put the double track in the lagoon, which will be years from now, be ripped out, wasting our tax money. And as far as you're making announcements, how often you got to shut down the track for weekly repairs? I know, I live in South Bay. 2 o'clock in the morning when the train goes there, they honk the horn. So I know every day that I don't hear the horn, how many days the tracks are shut down nightly for tax waste, repair. 500 people are going to get killed. You keep doing this, somebody's going to get killed. Move that track now. Sean Duffy will give you the money from the high-speed tolling. I've said that before. Use that. Move that track now. Okay, let's move on to item 6. There's only 2 letters from 2 cities saying, where's my money? The transit approval, Chula Vista, where's the fastest growing community? East Lake Chula Vista. And yet why does Chula Vista, Carolina, only get 8% of the funding? Where's your letter? Where's the letter from every damn city here saying, what the hell are you guys doing? You have not removed the managed lane toll road planned on this year, 2025 regional plan to take away road lanes, convert to managed toll lanes. Where's your letter? Where's your letter? Where's your letter to get that damn thing removed? I'll talk further about what you guys are going to do, what the state's going to do with this other taxing. I yield back.
Next is Blair Beekman, followed by allegedly Audra. Please identify which consent item you're speaking to.
I wanted to speak to the double tracking issue. Blair Beekman, thank you. First off, in the public comment or non-agenda staff comment that you're really working on RENA issues. It's nice to hear that. We really need it. Thank you. Thank you for the words of the previous speaker. I'm in full agreement. Mario presented talking about the future of double tracking as planning and not doing anything until the end of the year. And this, I mean, I've been speaking the past few months and how we can learn to work on building a lighter footprint for the lagoon areas. Mario himself is working on how to move the future of the rail system northward to avoid both homes and the lagoons altogether. So basically, you'd be building these tracks, what's just said, to rip them out again. When I think we should be building as light a footprint as possible and really talking about how we parse our rail, with passenger service through the Lausanne corridor and rail freight service through East County. There's a border committee meeting that's going to talk to Riverside officials today, and they're going to talk about those very issues. There's a really important meeting today. And so I'm really disappointed you guys are wanting to double track things. we have to consider how to limit these things and think of the environment, basically. Nobody talks in here in the importance of the environmental issues involved. Nobody. And it's really disappointing to me. And you're going to be doing things that are going to harm the environment, not only with the double track, but all the freight, more freight that's going to come through, that's going to be creating environmental concerns as well. So I think it's a very questionable idea. I know it's a needed idea. I want to use double tracking as little and as minimal as possible in the future. It may be needed, but we have to be more clear how little we're going to use a second track. I hope you can make that clear to us. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is allegedly Audra, followed by Catherine Rhodes.
Hoping you'll let Cesar speak as well. Anywho, they don't really care about the environment, because if you guys did, you would actually consider all of the chemtrails and stuff, the poisoning of not only us as individuals, but the earth as well. I mean, and even the cloud seeding that's causing storms, that's destroying land, but whatever. I mean, why acknowledge that? That would be dumb, because then you can't continue to worship your climate god and get money to pretend to do things that fix it. But it's interesting, there's emergency repairs that always have to be done on stuff. That means that you're not upkeeping with the infrastructure and just the maintenance that needs to be done. So why should we spend more money if you can't even keep up with the infrastructure that there already is? I mean, that's pretty ridiculous. And then your whole transit capital improvements program, it is not improvements, it's enslavement program. And until you guys are going to acknowledge where this is coming from, which was the United Nations, and that they have an agenda to enslave the people, and that's what you're engaging in, you shouldn't get any more money, because you guys talk about transparency and accountability. Well, why don't we be transparent with the people and really let them know what you're doing? Because you don't seem to have a problem with it, but you don't want to acknowledge that that's happening. And it's pretty funny, because it's like, you want to put in electric vehicle type of infrastructure, but at the end of the day, we're not supposed to be driving. So why are we wasting money on that? Let's just go straight for the chase. I mean, it's like you want to do all this stuff that seems like that's not what you're doing, but you talk about it. So it's just interesting to see how, you want to pretend like people that come up and talk about that, oh my gosh, they're crazy. Good thing I don't have kids. My kids would probably be taken because they say I have a behavioral health issue. But, it's all about 15-minute cities as well. And you're putting people in danger by putting in roundabouts and different things like that. So let's be honest and transparent. If you guys really want to do that, then admit what you're doing and where it's coming from and why it's happening, and that it is all about control. Because you're going to back yourself into a corner and wonder, uh-oh, what the hell happened?
Thank you. Your time has expired. Next is Catherine Rhodes, followed by phone number 672.
Hello, Catherine Rhodes, and I'm talking item 4, Policy Advisory Committee. Please, someone on the board of SANDAG or SANDAG staff, or specifically legal counsel, please meet with me so I could help you solve your financial cliff for transit projects, including funding for construction and ongoing operations. The solution is for SANDAG or any elected official here, any one of you, to ask the California Attorney General Banta for a legal opinion on both grandfathered airport status and funding for off-airport transit that's not exclusive to just transit projects for construction and operation. And you could get all that from the billions that San Diego County Airport Authority hoards from us and steals from me, the public, because I take airport rides, and the public facility charge is something that I pay for, and I'm not getting it. And I also own my California state tidelands because I'm a citizen of the state of California, and it's the airport authority that's stealing my money. So anyway, and so, we are a grandfathered airport because we are on state tidelands like New York, New Jersey, Washington, D.C., San Francisco, Boston, Hawaii, and San Diego, and a few other places. And so much happened in 2021 that changed everything related to airports. And the airport authority is not acknowledging it. First, in September 16th of 2021, there was a decision and order from the federal government that confirmed, and the FAA, because the FAA was trying to say, you can't steal our money. And and New York, New Jersey said, no, that's our money. We are on Thailand's. And so, the airport revenue there paid for Grand Central Station, the Long Island Railroad. It pays for everything.
Thank you, Catherine.
Oh, I
Time
have
has
so much more to
expired.
say.
Next is a phone number ending in 672, followed by Paul the Bold.
Okay, so Consuelo here. So, yeah, bike day, just such a joke. Again, all, asking the public to participate and to further lower their standards of living, and all for just accommodating. It's really, it sucks because it's all to accommodate the ones who are being fooled, who are not paying attention to the fact that their freedoms are dwindling while believing government lies. Like, it's a sacrifice for the environment. But in reality, as Audra just mentioned, it's all for control. Let's see, the minutes. Yeah, I'm gonna echo Paul the Bold. Well, he hasn't said it yet, but he will. When you omit details, it is definitely one way of deceiving the public, because people like Paul the Bold, who take the time out to, their precious time out, to have to go back to listen to the videos, searching for records to see what exactly went on. There should definitely be a summary right there in the minutes. And apparently there's a little bit more detail, but it could definitely improve, like everything else in this agency, including the new office. What else? Let's see. Yeah, so I just kind of want to echo all the previous callers, or speakers, I'm sorry. And let's see. Yeah, that's about all I have. I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Paul the Bold, followed by Marco Espinosa.
Hi, Paul Bold. Cap improvements. Per the summary of changes, it looks like MTS users will have to put up with more outdated equipment, older buses, older facilities, with about a 50% budget cut, which is kind of ridiculous. Although service operations might be a bit better, and seniors are counting on better paratransit in North County. So a 14% budget cut is really disappointing. However, the big issue to me is that adjustments result in a 163,000 increase, the largest amount being 100.9 thousand for the MTS system fixed guideway trip planning software, which is already working and there, so why the need for money? Please do not approve this. Proposed solicitations. This seems to include a connection to the unstable soils at and west of the beach area below the Del Mar Fairgrounds. I think that the whole project needs a better route east of the fairgrounds, and a proposal for the construction manager needs to be revised. Delegated actions. I like it that there is a short summary of the cases action was taken on. Maybe it will help inspire the county supervisors to do the same. Maybe, in fact, it already did. I'm glad the 4-year-old wrongful death suit was finally settled, since I'm sure the lawyer fees, interest, and penalties for delay would have been way more than the settlement amount. Way to go. And let's say the proposed bike thing, the pit stops, it looks like there might.
Thank you, Paul. Your time has expired. And our last public comment is Marco Espinosa.
Question to the clerk of the board. On the agenda packet that I saw online, 138 pages. On what page is consent agendas labeled under? Just so I can find it. I'm having trouble. I apologize. Or am I looking at the wrong thing?
Consent agenda begins with the minutes on, I'm sorry. Yeah, on page 8. Page 7.
8 of 138?
It's on page 7.
7. And this is for the April 11th minutes?
It's on consent. There's a bundle of items, Mr.
Ah,
Espinosa.
yes. Oh, okay, okay. I apologize. Thank you. Okay. Thank you very much. Now that does help me for further in the meeting. I apologize. In terms of also another idea for getting an MTS route to Mount Soledad, because it's kind of my goal here, or some public route, please. Something. Is a full-blown bus route that, yes, I've thought about and planned out from Old Town to up the 5 to PB, but then it goes by Kate Sessions Park because there's currently nothing that goes by there public transportation wise, and then up Soledad, and then eventually it'll get to the Mount Soledad, obviously. But going up the mountain, going up La Jolla, I had thought about it, but I don't have the map in front of me right now. Remaining time. And then it also, from Mount Soledad, it would then carry on to slightly back down the mountain, but then go a different direction, go to downtown La Jolla, past pavilions, because before they changed the one, the Vons and Mission Hills to pavilions, that one in La Jolla was the only one. Well, the closest one, the most southern one, let's say, because the tuna is better there, and I like the tuna there. And then it would carry on through La Jolla and then end up at UTC. But anyway, that was my other idea. Thank you very much for taking my question, clerk of the board.
Thank you. That concludes our public comment, Chair.
Thank you so much. And just to clear up some misunderstandings the public might have, all 5 alternatives that were chosen by the Board of Directors last month are all going to start beyond the seasonal platform, beyond the double tracking, beyond the bridge. Those are all going to start beyond that. When we release the notice of preparation on May 16th, that, remember what that is, it's a notice that we are preparing an environmental impact document. During that preparation of that document, all the technical people are going to take a look at all 5 of those and analyze them for impacts to the environment. And there's a whole bunch of things. And they could adjust the lines during that period of time. Again, all starting beyond what we're discussing on item 5 today. And in fact, that is anticipated to be done. It was anticipated when we discussed this item, especially with the yellow line, looking for it to be to the north of the San Diego Lagoon. I'd like to point out too that we have a very successful project to look at it, in North County also, called the North Coastal Corridor, where the San Elijo Lagoon was part of the mitigation for double tracking the rail line in the northern portion, as well as widening the freeways. The restoration of that lagoon is award-winning and spectacular. We have so many more birds migrating to this area. We have sea life coming to this area. We even have an octopus family that lives in the lagoon, never to be seen prior to that. So the environment is most definitely taken into consideration. Also, the Coastal Commission did a very big study years ago called the Public Works Plan that took a look at the comprehensive low sand corridor to make sure that overall, they had an understanding of what it was going to be and weighed in on a number of the environmental impacts in some of the routes. And staff can correct me on anything that I've said wrong. The reason we have double tracking is that it reduces stoppages, and it also provides the ability for us to have more trains running more frequently. Don't forget, we have the freight on this line, we have the Pacific Surfliner or Amtrak on this line, and we have the coaster on this line. So there's a lot of coordination that has to be done. Imagine the math, the algorithms, the scheduling that has to be done to have all of those going back and forth from Oceanside to the city of San Diego and back. And so when we have double tracking throughout the entire corridor, that allows a lot more flexibility for those organizations to provide for more service more frequently. So this is sort of the bigger picture of all of this. And again, we are noticing the preparation of an environmental document that will adjust some of the lines, will identify environmental impacts and outline mitigations for them, as well as we know more and more about those impacts, they can adjust those lines. So then we will have a preferred project that will come out. There will be public comment on that. Then it'll come to the board. We're talking about 3 years from now, and we will choose the final project for that line. So that's just to prevent any further misunderstandings from going further. And now I will go on to other member comments on the consent agenda. Mayor Jones.
Thank you so much, Chair. Okay, so on item number 4, I had my legislative analyst look into this a little bit on Assembly Bill 334. And I do have some concerns about it, so I will not be supporting it today. So what he had come up with is that the bill could generate, as it is, privacy concerns due to the lack of the specific data that can be shared between toll authorities. And it differs from the current data sharing rules currently. And that the bill will remove limits on data sharing for license plate information, transponder information, and then the date and time, and then also the toll agency information. So I will not be supporting item. So we could bifurcate if that would be something that actually. So
you want to pull all of item 4?
Well, it's just the Assembly Bill 334 that I can't support. The other.
Well, can we make just legal, is it possible to have the mayor support it with a note that she does not support that particular, or should we separate that one particular item out of item 4? And how do we do that? Separate out. Well, it's not all, she supports the rest of it in item 4. So we'll just separate out that one particular bill, Assembly Bill 334.
Okay. All right. And then I do have 2 other questions. One is on item number 5. Let me get to that real quick. Okay. So on the bottom of the last paragraph, it says that the CM services are considered architecture and engineering, and per federal regulation are required to be procured using a qualification-based procurement, which does not allow costs to be considered during evaluation and vendor selection. Therefore, estimated costs for the project will not be an evaluation factor. I don't understand how that could possibly be, that the cost is not any evaluation factor. My apologies.
Suzanne, do you want to answer that question?
Yes. So there is a federal regulation, the Brooks Act, and the state of California also has a mini Brooks Act. I will defer to our legal counsel for more details on those acts, but that prohibits us for this type of work to consider costs. So we are looking at only the most qualified team to provide these services. So when we put the solicitation out, we will get statements of qualifications. Those will be reviewed, evaluated, scored to determine the most qualified team, and then we'll enter negotiations. The final contract will come to the board for approval to award.
So maybe this question could be answered. So how is it that a double track is considered architecture and engineering?
So this is a construction management, not the construction of the double track. The construction management team needs licensed engineers to oversee the constructor that is building the project.
So could somebody please explain the difference between this construction management and how we choose that for certain projects, because it ends up that then the construction team can help to keep the costs down by being part of the design. If I have that correct, somebody could maybe explain.
I think you may be speaking to a different delivery method, which is construction manager, general contracting, or design build.
I am speaking to that. So that, okay.
This project will be built with a traditional design bid builds, meaning where have the design goes into selecting a vendor for construction, then we build it. So the construction management firm will assist SANDAG in overseeing the contractor to ensure that construction costs stay where they're supposed to, make sure that they're delivering and doing what they need to do. They're doing inspections, they're out there daily.
So how did we come up with design builds rather than evaluating it a different way? Could maybe you answer that?
I think there's been an evolution with this project. If you remember that it was originally 2 projects and we decided to combine them together to save money. That typically for CMGC projects, we would like to bring the contractor around 30% so they could help in the design and identify efficiencies. We're at 90%, 100% of this project, so it's a little too late for that method to be implemented.
So when did we vote on that? I don't remember us combining those 2 projects. When you're saying that it would be to save money, I'm always for that. Of course, I think I talk about that quite a bit. But I guess I'm a little not understanding how it could possibly be that now it seems like it might not be the cheapest way to do it. Like it might not be the least expensive. And I'm sorry to throw this out. And just kind of looking through it, it kind of occurs to me, I like to listen a lot of times, just a conversation. Today, I just kind of thought, okay, well, I need to find out more about this. And then now the conversation's kind of evolving to something that I really don't understand that part of it.
David, could you move the mic closer to your mouth, please?
Sure, I apologize. So the date that the board approved it, I don't have that information with me right now. I'll have to get back to you on that. But the intent was, that the first project was the double track to the north, and the second project was the bridge to the south. The bridge is higher than the bridge that is existing right now because the king tidal flows causes issues for the existing height, which means the length of the project extends beyond the other projects. So in order for us to, the grade of the tracks that the maximum grade of the tracks can travel is 5%. So you can imagine that 2 projects next to each other, to get that 5% grade down, was going to affect each other. So by building them in one project, we could avoid double working in that area, if that makes sense.
Well, I guess I'm just concerned as we have no idea what the costs are going to be. I feel uncomfortable supporting something I really can't even get an answer on that. And I'm not faulting you right now. I'm just saying, as a board member, when I'm trying to figure out if it's the best cost, best value, I don't know that it even feels like that right now because you're saying that they're together, but now we're saying that estimated cost is not a factor of our valuation.
So I think we're confusing a little bit.
Okay. That's why I'm asking the question.
And I apologize.
I'm sure
I think I didn't
only one.
understand.
I'm probably the only one that's just saying something.
I apologize. I think I didn't understand the question. So we were talking construction. This is a permission to advertise for the CM, the construction manager, the RE, the inspectors, the people that make sure that contractor does the right thing and builds the construction right. Even if we were a CMGC, we would still need a CM contract, an inspector and all the, so we're still following, it would be no different regardless of the method. We would still need a CM and we would not be selecting either a CMGC or this type of contract based on price. It would be based on merit and based on qualifications. And then we negotiate price after it's
Okay.
And that's just the way the law is written.
So let me just ask this for clarification. Are you saying then, regardless of the method that we're using, we're not going to have any sort of cost estimate on a CM project? Part of this?
So we do have an estimate that we think what it's going to cost in order for us not to hinder the negotiations with the bidders. We don't advertise it at this point.
Yeah, that would.
Is that correct, Suzanne?
Correct, because the CM, as I mentioned, we're looking for the most qualified firm. So there is an internal estimate that's done. We don't publish that with our solicitation because we don't want to put any kind of bias in the industry. The construction contract does have its an estimate, and that is different, and it will follow our traditional procurement as a low bid, invitation for bid. That will come to you guys at a little time too. Today, we're only asking about the approval to advertise a solicitation for construction management services.
Okay, so it would make sense that we wouldn't have a number that we would publish because that part makes sense. I guess I just, when I saw the estimated cost will not be an evaluation factor, that's a red flag to me. And I'm probably not the only person that feels that way. Okay, thanks for clarifying that. And then I do have one other question, and that is on item number 7, and I don't know who's going to be able to answer this. And this just has to do with the page 36 and 37, the MTS and then the NCTD. There's a typo at the top of the NCTD because I believe that they are the same sort of estimates for the 5-year totals. I believe it's supposed to be 26 through 30. Is that correct?
You on attachment 7?
Yeah, yes. Well, item number 7 in, this is a different item, page 37 and then 36. Yes, item 7, which. So
Which
the,
attachment?
the item, well, it's page number 6, attachment 2. Sorry, I'm looking at the bottom of the page. And then
Attachment 2.
Correct, yes. So page 36 and 37. It says that there in, on page 37, there are local Transnet dollars associated. And then my only question is, why is that not on page 36 with the MTS estimate? I just don't know why that is.
Go ahead, Wailenia.
I will say that it is an error on top of NCTD. It should be 26 to 30. MTS is not using Transnet to support the Transit Capital Program.
Okay, so in the future, it just seems like it should show it, because when I'm looking at it as a board member, I'm going, okay, why are these two different? Maybe we should just show it and have it as 0.
Okay.
So that it's easier to understand, thinking, is there a problem with the whole page, or is it just that they're not? So that would be easier to understand. Okay, that's my only question. So I guess my motion would be to accept the consent calendar with the exception of on item number 4, that we bifurcate the Assembly Bill 334. So that would be, so I guess we would.
So Alfred,
vote on
could you
that
please
separately.
clarify? So we're going to approve consent, all items, except for, you explain how it.
Maybe it would just be item number 4, yeah. So everything but item number 4, and then item number 4, then we could bifurcate at that point in time when we vote on it.
And I think
That way as well.
you want to do it that way is
Yeah,
different.
that
You
seems-
had a different idea.
Yeah, well, we can just probably easier to.
That's why I would normally do it at my council
Okay, then we'll do
meetings.
4 separate and then,
Yeah.
okay,
So
all
my
right.
motion to move the consent calendar minus item number 4.
Yes, okay.
Second.
Let me go to Mayor Gasterlin, and would you mind seconding that motion?
I heard a second from Coronado, Mayor Duncan.
Oh, you heard, okay, thank you. Second by Duncan, thank you. And then now that I have a second, I'll actually go in order and call on Ms. Maxon and then you, Mayor Gasterlin.
Good morning. This is also item number 4, but for different reasons. The Transportation Committee reported the addition of 5 new highway safety improvement programs. I was very pleased to see that the intersection that's very important to that incorporated area, which is the Hamashaw and Grand Avenue intersection in Spring Valley, is included. Is there a completion date for that project? Thank you.
Who has the answer?
I think we might have to get back to you with the answer. Thank you.
Get back to you on that. Okay, Mayor Gasterlin.
Yes, I'd like to understand more about what criteria are used for most qualified rather than qualified. This is on item 5. It seems that ranking all of the different responses needs objective criteria. How do you do that?
Susanna's coming back up to answer that question for you.
Just want to make sure I have your question correct. You're asking what criteria and how we evaluate the most qualified?
How do you determine?
How we
Given a
determine?
slate, who is the most qualified? And I'll perhaps add, what if someone is overqualified and charging too much?
So first, we'll determine those qualified as mentioned earlier. So we have an evaluation score sheet. We will have an evaluation committee made up of technical experts in this area. There's different criteria. So they include things like project experience, the experience of individuals. So the key personnel for the project they are proposing, for example, the resident engineer, the office engineer, inspector, surveyors, that will all get scored. Then we get together, they get shortlisted, there's a ranking. When we determine the top ranked firm, we go into negotiations. If SANDAG and that vendor cannot enter negotiations and we cannot agree, we have the right to cease negotiations and move on to the second firm.
Great, thank you. And I share the same concerns raised by the mayor of San Marcos, that having to award a contract regardless of the cost just seems counterintuitive. My second question on this item is, we heard several weeks ago that 54 million in federal funding for this project was still pending. Has that come through, or is it still pending?
So there's two funding sources on this project that are delayed. There's the infra grant, which is a federal grant, and what's on hold currently. Hopefully we'll hear soon on that grant. Then we have state funding that is programmed out in future years, and we're going to be working with the state to move that funding up sooner.
Thank
And
you.
if I may add, the good news is that we're hearing similar to OME, the way it started with the federal over there, it was phone calls, inquiries, and we're hearing that those phone calls are coming in for this particular project. So we're optimistic that we'll reach agreement soon for that federal funding.
Thank you.
Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Chair. I too appreciate Mayor Jones for bringing up the questions on item 5. And I thought for my clarity, I think on the face level, certainly can understand the concern about going out to solicit for services and not have an understanding of where cost plays a factor into that. I think just to be clear, what we're approving today is just the approval for basically the request for proposal to go out so that we can solicit proposals for that construction management project only, or the portion of the services. And then what we will get back is staff will receive the proposals for service that, again, thanks to federal law, will have to be judged specifically by qualification without the factor of cost. And then ultimately, we as a body will be approving a contract that is negotiated with a selected vendor, of which at that point cost is of course a factor, correct?
That's correct, yes.
And so I'm curious, and having not sat on this body before, I'm curious how that cost factor becomes, how input from this body ultimately impacts your negotiations for cost. Because of course that is a concern for all of us, is ensuring that ultimately we not only have the qualifications, but that what ends up being a sole vendor that's selected doesn't maximize costs as a result of the process. So just curious what we have the ability to do to ensure that governance takes place. Thank you.
So, and Susanna, correct me if I'm wrong, the solicitation will include stuff like for an RE, we want this many years, we want this level of a senior engineer or a principal engineer, or so we kind of have an idea of the price range, right? And so, so once the bids come in, they can't, the bidder can't sway from that limits, right? So if we want a senior engineer, for example, that has a pay range of a certain amount, and they come in with a principal engineer that's above what we want, what we think is needed, and so that's going to be more a negative in their scoring sheet, right? And so that's kind of how we kind of get an idea.
Maybe I can just jump in and clarify.
Yeah.
Before we go out to bid for a project, we come up with an independent cost estimate. And there's a variety of factors that we evaluate to come up with that cost estimate. Our own projects, similar projects throughout the nation. If the most qualified bidder exceeds that independent cost estimate, we deal with that in the negotiations and try to get that bidder to come down to what we feel is reasonable and is more in line with our cost estimate. If we're not able to come to an agreement, then we can move on to the second most qualified bidder. So hopefully that clarifies the process a little bit.
Absolutely. I think that does. For me, I think that helps show, and I hope for this entire body shows the process here. And what we're really doing is kickstarting basically the solicitation so that we can begin receiving those proposals. And ultimately, I'll entrust staff, and then this body will have that governance opportunity to determine whether that final contract actually gets issued. So thank you.
Thank you. With that, I'll call the vote. If we could please put the motion on the board. And then we'll go to 4, and then we'll separate out 4. Okay, so it's consent minus 4. Consent minus 4. Please use your devices. No. I just did, Bruce. Okay. All right, that passes unanimously. Now, may I have a motion to approve number 4 on consent minus Assembly Bill 334?
Yes, that's my motion.
Okay, very good.
Yes.
May I have a second?
I'll second.
A second by Encinitas Sailors. Very good. Please vote on that one. San Diego? Okay, that passes with all minus Vista. And now I would like to have a motion, please, for approving in our legislative calendar our priorities, Assembly Bill 334. Who would like to make a motion to that effect? I'm seeing no motions. Could somebody please come up and explain to us what 334 is? Thank you, Hannah. Yeah. This is now a half a mile to the dime.
Good morning. Assembly Bill 334 is meant to facilitate national interoperability for the interstate highway system with our toll roads. So the provision is enumerating the 4 items that toll operators can collect in order to facilitate national interoperability. So it is being less prescriptive of what can be collected, but it is still going to be pursuant to state and federal privacy laws. So they can't use the information to sell to other people or use them properly. It's still covered by that. It's just being less prescriptive in what would be collected.
Tenda, would you like to add in anything as our Director of Toll Operations?
Sure. Thank you. Lucinda Bruce, our Director of Regional Transportation Service.
Please move the mic closer to you.
Can you hear me now?
Yes.
Oh, yeah, I can hear me even. So it talks about automatic vehicle identification, and that is reading your transponder, and on the transponder is no personal information. It's just your tag number. And if we collect your license plate by image, it would just be your license plate. And that is what we would be sending to other states to get our tolls paid.
Okay, all right. Mayor Jones, do you have any questions about that?
No, I don't. I'm just saying my analyst said that this bill could generate privacy concerns due to the lack of specificity regarding the data that can be shared between toll authorities. So just for me, I have an issue with that, so I will not be supporting it. So I'm just reiterating that it could. And, you know, with all of the discussion about state toll information and toll charging and federal charging, I just cannot support this because I think there's just too much unknown. And when I'm told by an analyst that works in the city that it could cause privacy concerns, I have to take that very seriously.
Very good.
Thank you.
I'll also just note that this bill is responding to a federal regulation that was passed some years ago requiring national interoperability. So it's something that the state of California has yet to do, but it's in response to a federal law.
Okay, so it's basically making California be in compliance with federal law? Is that what you?
Well, it's for a national law, so all states are supposed to be interoperable.
Okay, all right. So
Sure.
with that, yes.
I mean, is it
Duncan?
simplified enough to just say the purpose of this bill is to allow Californians transponders to work when they're driving, say in Nevada or Arizona, and to maintain one transponder account without having to stop and pay tolls or this so I understand Mayor Jones's concerns. I'm going to support it because I actually think the unifying of all the standards nationwide should hopefully tighten the security on the systems.
Yes. Okay. All right. Councilmember Shin.
Yeah, just comment. I'm going to support this. Just being on the board of the public safety, our law enforcement uses this and then some, where it gets all the way into private knowledge. So this is just specifically, it's almost a protect too, right? So this thing is saying we're allowing it, but it's also protecting us from saying that it's not going to exceed beyond just the ability to read the license plate.
That is correct.
Okay.
There's no personal information that's crossing it between any operators.
All right.
Even now, when we do California, we don't send people's personal information when we transfer to LA Metro or Orange County Transportation Agency.
Far different than like our RGIS system in regards to we do license plate reading and then we go all the way in. We try to figure out who
We
they
do
are.
not do that with
This is a
tolls.
complete fine line. Okay, that's all.
Okay. May I assume that there's a motion by Duncan and a second by Shin? Duncan, Mayor Duncan, would that be a motion by you?
Yes.
And a second by Councilmember Shin? Okay, please vote. Thank you very much. I'll let the clerk call that one.
The motion passes with the nays being Escondido, La Mesa, San Marcos, and Santee.
All right, thank you very much. Now we're going to move on to the proposed board policy changes. I'll turn it over to Antoinette, please.
Sure. Before I hand it over to Julie to walk you through the board policy changes, I just wanted to make a couple of quick remarks. Our intention with all of these board policies is to help us address many of the outstanding corrective actions that we have from past audits, but we're still continuing to coordinate with OIPA to make sure that we're really checking all of the boxes, addressing all of the recommendations adequately, and there's probably additional policy changes that are going to be coming before this board in the coming months. I also want to just point out, Julie's going to be requesting a minor edit to board policy number 17, and that's number 5 in board policy 17. And Mayor Duncan, you had mentioned an executive committee relevant to the conversation that we just had actually about best value and wanting to see additional documentation supporting and substantiating any time an award goes to a vendor that did not propose the lowest cost. And so while you won't see that reflected in the policy, we are updating the procurement manual. We'll be requiring staff to develop that justification in a memo, and that will be coming to the board with that solicitation as an attachment for all contracts over $5 million.
And just as another note, when the executive committee heard this, it was noted that this would take care of about 50 of the items on the corrective action report that we have heard from the auditor and from the grand jury and so forth. I'll now turn it over to Julie for a comment, for her presentation.
Okay, so good morning. My name is Julie Wiley. As was stated, I'm a former general counsel of the agency, and I'm here as a retired annuitant to help out with this and some other projects. So there are a handful of board policies that require substantive changes to address a large number of recommendations from various audits in 2024. They will address those in whole or in part. So there are follow-up actions for full implementation, but it does start with getting the board policies updated. So the executive committee has reviewed these updates at their meeting on April 11th, and I'm going to go over the changes that they have now recommended. So we're going to start with board policy 11, which starts on page 75 of your agenda packet. If you want to take a look at that language as I go through. This policy concerns travel. Section 3.16 is the reference to the administrative travel policy. So that's the policy that staff has put together for implementation of the board policy as a companion to this board policy. And these changes are proposed to strengthen the requirements for obtaining approvals for travel and training requirements. These changes would apply to both board members and staff. Next, I'm going to move on to Board Policy 16. This policy is the one with by far the most changes to it. If you take a look at it, you will see it has a lot of red line changes to it. The reason for that is because this policy is a combination of 3 policies. So SANDAG's policies concerning procurement are currently made up of 3 different policies. One is for services, one is for equipment and supplies, and one is for construction. Those policies were all written over 20 years ago when there were quite a few differences between those types of procurements. Now the laws have changed over the years, and that means that there is a lot of overlap between these different types of procurement, a lot of redundancy in the language. And that, coupled with the fact that OIPA has made recommendations that would apply across the board to all these different types of procurements and contracting, would make the language very redundant between all 3 policies. So the concept here was to take Board Policy 16 as the starting point, the one for services, leave it mostly in place, take what was in Board Policy 23 for equipment and supplies and Board Policy 24 for construction that was not overlapping, and put it into Board Policy 16, and then overlay changes that were recommended and accepted by staff from OIPA and other sources. So what you see in the new Board Policy 16 is changes starting on page 79 of your packet that combine all of those different policies together. This particular slide that you see shows you an outline of where most of the changes are. So you'll see where there's old language for the most part in various sections, and then there's several sections that have a lot of language intertwined from the other board policies, as well as new language. So to summarize, I will tell you that there's a new introductory section and definitions that have been added, including a definition of what constitutes an emergency and what constitutes a failure to plan. Section 4 discusses non-competitive sole source procurements being disfavored, and that they will only be permitted in limited circumstances and then reported to the board. Section 5 adds factors to be considered in determining whether a contractor has the finances and experience to successfully complete a contract. It also adds language about procurements and contracts over $5 million being brought to the board for approval. Section 11 has new language requiring contract staff to ensure bid splitting is not occurring, and that amendments over $500,000 be reported to the board. Section 12 contains the bulk of the new requirements, including contractor performance tracking and evaluations, situations that will require a report to the board, project manager skill requirements, invoice approval requirements, and a slew of new employee training requirements. This slide shows the categories of changes made to this policy and the number of OIPA recommendations each of the proposed changes would address in whole or in part. If approved, many of the changes in Board Policy 16 are going to require new forms, new templates, and lots of staff training to fully implement the OIPA recommendations, and that's expected to take 4 to 6 months to fully implement. The last board policy to cover this morning is Board Policy 17, which concerns delegation of authority to the CEO. It starts on page 132 of your board packet. Section 2 allows for delegation of authority by the CEO to CFO, since there's no longer a chief deputy role at the agency. Section 5 contains proposed changes to the CEO's appointing authority for employees so that the board can carve out exceptions if it wants to appoint certain positions itself. Included in that would be the concept of the general counsel role. A change, as Antoinette mentioned, is proposed this morning to the language you see before you due to the board's desire for further discussion of the changes to Board Policy 8 concerning the general counsel's role. Since Board Policy 8 was originally running in tandem with changes to this policy, and now the board wants to continue discussions on that item, we're recommending that the language in Section 5 be changed so it doesn't refer to other board policies, and instead, the language at the beginning of that section would be, with the exception of any position approved by the Board of Directors, the CEO shall act as the appointing authority for SANDAG. So we would just basically be removing the cross-reference to other board policy. This is still consistent with the advice from outside counsel to use board policy to allow the board to appoint the person who would serve in the general counsel role appointed by the board. In addition, I want to point out that modifications are proposed in Section 8 of Board Policy 17 to achieve OIPA recommendations shown in this slide to tighten internal controls and ensure accountability. Section 8.4 specifically cross-references new language that's proposed for Board Policy 8 concerning the types of contract documents that will be reviewed by the Office of General Counsel. So although Board Policy 8 changes remain pending, staff recommends that you still approve Board Policy 16 with this language for efficiency purposes, since that would complete all the changes to Board Policy 16. And we will be coming back with Board Policy 8 changes to you and with you in the future. That concludes my presentation, and I'm happy to answer any questions you might have.
Thank you, Thank you, Julie, and thank you for all your work on this. This was a tremendous amount of work. I know that you wrote them, and so now you got to edit them, so.
Yes, wrote them all 20 years ago. Now I get to fix them.
Yeah, keeping up with the times. All right. So before we go to questions of our board members, we're going to go to the public. Michael, please call our public comments.
Sure, we have 6 in person and 2 online. The first is Truth, followed by Alan C.
Right on the record this time, this policy quote, explaining failure to plan is not an adequate justification, end quote. 3 to 6 months is pretty quick to implement this stuff from an agency that's failed to plan for so many decades. But I mean, you had 20 years of a gap. I'm glad you caught up. Adding to the travel board policy number 011, I concur with Mary Davis's past idea that every board member should keep a public log of how many GHGs they have emitted while on their various SANDAG related business trips. It's important to cut your guys' trips down so staff will stop trying to cut down our private trips. The best value selections requiring documentation when a vendor not of the lowest cost is chosen. There's criteria that has to be met before a vendor chosen at all, right? So is this redundancy due to trust issues? Was policy 6 covering even the potential of a conflict of interest ever followed? Remember all the HNTB nonsense that still hasn't been sorted out? I love that an OIPA recommendation is train the employees. Were they not properly trained before? Board policy 016 says that SANDAG policies are under a public utilities code. Why? Is that a loophole because a SANDAG corporation can't fall under legitimate laws? Notice the official website is even sandag.org. It is not .gov because it is not government. And for the newbies, do you know why the SANDAG color is purple? The meshing of Democrats and Republicans. Do you know why the meetings are on Fridays and why catering is provided? To soften and stuff you all like ham slow roasting over an open flame. But which one tastes better, the catering or respect? So I await a policy addressing a code of ethics and a code of conduct. I also await a SANDAG public records data portal that includes everything, travel documents, P-cards, letters, etc. And I want it under a system that functions like Next Request or Civic Plus. It's called transparency. Try it. But Allah Cesar, last time policies were discussed, Jadon proved himself a true innovator with his option 4 idea on the lawyers, and Bruce proved himself a true thinker. And by the way, these chairs right here are also in the way of the view. Some of you blocked is okay, but not everybody. Thank you.
Next is Alan C., followed by Catherine Rhodes.
The first item you're showing travel, but why can't you do your little retreat here so the public can observe? And so you save the taxpayers' money instead of doing your hotel retreat. Do it here and make it more open, like when you do your maps right there, when you had in the separate room at the other SANDAG building, where it's more open discussion with everybody here. Of course, not members of the public, we speak afterwards. There's your map. There's your managed lanes, every lane. Okay, let's go on to where you saw procurements. You actually mentioned 125 toll operations, which you've paid the private investor with Transnet funds. Transnet promised freeways, not managed lanes toll roads. So since it's already paid, shut the toll down now. See the picture Blair's holding? That's 15. 15 should also go away. Them two concrete barriers between them, that could have been 2 more freeway lanes. And so you don't have to jam up traffic because you guys unanimously voted to remove the toll. And yet you're not doing it. Meanwhile, SANDAG, take a look behind you guys. 75% SANDAG's laughing at South Bay. 78% Carolina is funded by commuters in the South Bay. That's wrong. That was paid for by Transnet, which promised freeways. Shut the toll down now instead of the bankers and the investors reaping the rewards that used our tax, double tax, triple tax. Shut down this mileage program because the state is already talking about a road use charge. And going back to Mayor, when you say about privacy, how are they going to know who to bill if they don't have the private information? Hello? So yes, they do have private information. You want to fix the EV problem that's going to take away that? Charge them just like the gas tax. Charge EV cars through the electricity charge program. All the EV cars are smart cars. Make that instead of the road use charge. Every EV should be charged just like the gas tax. Charge EV cars through the charge system. The smart cars will tell you how much electricity they use. Hello? Again, common sense, people. I yield back.
Next is Catherine Rhodes, followed by Cesar Javier.
Hello, this is Catherine Rhodes. First, SANDAG, you're missing information for your upcoming SANDAG retreat online. Where is a retreat being held? Can the public have the retreat agenda? When I went just on Google and put SANDAG retreat 2025, there was something there, but when I clicked on it, it said page not found. It was on the calendar and somebody messed up. So where is this retreat? You know, I've met with Courtney Ruby and OIP staff, but they've never followed up on me on my whistleblower complaints. Can I have a meeting with them again so we could actually have some corrective action for my 20-year-old seismic complaints? So anyway, also on your agenda, you always talk about OIPA. You never spell out that it's the Office of the Independent Auditor. Not anywhere in the agenda. So, or in the item 8. So can somebody actually put the whole name of the department on it? And so anyway, you know, I still have my SANDAG, I call it my July 11th, 2024 letter regarding SANDAG's ongoing corruption. This is corruption. Due to no action taken and purposeful lack of audit investigation and dismissing my 20-year-old seismic concern through the whistleblower hotline without backup documentation instead of incorrectly stating that my concerns regarding the active Rose Canyon Fault Zone are refuted, not substantiated, out of jurisdiction. So when I had a meeting with the auditor, I asked for them to call up the state geologist, who is the decision maker. And instead of doing that, so far I see they've done nothing. So if I could actually have a meeting with legal counsel, somebody on SANDAG and the auditor, so they could actually do something for me instead of ignoring me. Thank you.
Next is Cesar Javier, followed by allegedly Audra.
Cesar Javier, a victim of predatory governance. I speak on this particular sphere because even here on item 8, I will play with it. Why do you still have to travel in town or out town when we have the best technology to talk to the person you wanted to talk? Contradiction. Air Pollution Control District or even our city governance suppressed public inquiry or whistleblowing. Suppressing it is suppressing liberty, freedom. We spend money for your travel, Ma'am, Chair, Sir CEO. And that's that crack there. If only to save that money to be poured and solve the issue on the victims of homeless, sick, and dying humans. Unfortunately, Cesar, the focus of SANDAG is mobility circulation. Excuse me, contradiction. Along the way on that particular mission are extras, which are not supposed to be exhausting our resources coming from our cities, countywide. Come to look at this. Solutions we need are moral solution, correct solution, not the alternate solution for political wealth getting and wealth using. Who amongst you belongs to the have-nots here? Who has that?
Thank you, Caesar. Next is allegedly Audra, followed by Blair Beekman.
Got in, look at that. Okay. So this is interesting. I think you could bring tents here probably, and just sleep on the floor. It'd be comfortable. I mean, really, then we don't have to pay any extra money, right? But you guys love to spend our money because it's like monopoly money to you guys. And you shouldn't be doing any single source procurements. And it's funny to see why you guys get audited because people come out with information that you wanted to hide and then all of a sudden you got to look into it. Which still, obviously, there needs to be transparency and accountability. And that's where you guys telling the people what you're really doing here would be nice. Because you should, as Alan was saying, charge the electric vehicles for a charge, not just the gas people that are driving around because they're the ones destroying the roads. And Rebecca, so interesting that you want to, you're concerned about privacy with these ALPRs. Yeah, in your city, Sydney Stedman is still waiting to hear who hit her on her bike. That was a car. It was a white car, and you didn't even want to call her family. And you're sitting there on your phone because you can't face the truth. But the fact that you have privacy concerns, does that mean you're trying to hide the ALPR data from the Stedman family from finding out who hit them on a vehicle? Was it a city worker? Was it you? What are you trying to hide? So the fact that you have privacy concerns is very concerning when there's somebody whose life is affected for the rest of her life right now, still trying to find out and get justice for a hit and run in your city where they have ALPR. And you're refusing to talk to the family, saying, oh, the sheriff's going to take care of it. Are they? They're hiding that information. And if they didn't take out that little clip, that means that information has been erased. So there you go with your privacy. Oh my gosh, we don't want people to know other people's information. Damn well bet it would be
Thank
pretty
you. Your
apparent.
time has expired. Next is Blair Beekman, followed by Marco Espinoza online.
Hi, Blair Beekman. Thank you for allowing my public comment. This is a really important item for ourselves about how we're addressing the future of accountability within SANDAG. It's an accountability process that is between SANDAG staff, board persons, and the public. I think I learned an incredibly important lesson in what transpired here a little while ago on the future of double track issues. I got a real sense from the memo and from the staff presentations that there was a staff presentation on double tracking, I think either one or two board meetings ago, that staff presented what they're spelled out what they want to do. Mario, interjected, it was asked what exactly they're going to do. Mario offered his own opinions. It was very clear to me that the staff has a very specific goal they're working on, and the memo offered that as well. It was a very nice background reporting by the chair. She gave background to describe more exactly what to expect of this project. as myself as the public, that's what I need and I'm asking for. Yet the staff presented it like it's coming through in the next 6 months, love it or leave it, you know? And I'm not happy with that. And I get the sense in the questions from board persons, they're confused. They're being railroaded basically by staff. So there's a disconnect going on here, and I want to nip this in the bud now, note it at this time. It was very nicely pointed out by Board Person Lee that we can work through this issue still, but I want to get to the root that there is a problem here. It's staff. They are bulldozing their way through these subject matters and not talking with everyone. We have to work with staff to be a more clear subject. The chair offered great examples how to do that. We need to work in those terms towards information sharing. Please, thank you.
Thank you, Lord. Next is Marco Espinosa online, followed by Paul the Bold.
Hello. Hi, thank you. I just want to say that I am in favor of the one transponder is recognized nationwide. That's all. Thank you.
Thank you. Next is Paul the Bold, followed by phone number ending in 672.
Hi, Paul Bull. The status of the recommendations that the auditors have made should be updated at every board meeting. It's nice that you update policy, but it's no substitute for action. Policy 17. I like it that it specifies who's in charge in the absence of the CEO rather than just saying a chief deputy. I also like procedure 8, where the CEO makes sure audit recommendations are followed and the rest of it too. But procedure 1, you need to add as authorized in section 4 to the end. I do not approve of limitless authority, which, error by omission or not, and one never knows what the next CEO might do without limiting his authority in some way. Policy 16, wow, calling an offer responsive and responsible sounds like a dog. It's a bit insulting. The definition of cardinal change should not include changes over 25% as a non-competitive procurement. Call it something else, like excessive. And I'm disappointed that there's no mention of limiting contingency fees. Proc 1.3.2.1, requests for letters of interest. They should be solicited from all qualified vendors, not just from firms registered in the electronic vendor portal. You could be sued for discrimination. And please do not use and enrich the same contractors over and over. It could be seen as a form of corruption. Qualifications-based selection should never be used except in a dire.
Thank you, Paul. Your time has expired. Our last public comment is phone number ending in 672.
Okay, Consuelo here, and so I just have to say that I am loving this meeting so much, and I love hearing my fellow neighbors in the community holding you all accountable. And what else did I want to say? Oh yeah, I bet that retreat was at the Bohemian Grove. Just kidding. Anyway, so the argument of privacy is convenient, especially for criminals. And I will end by saying the Stedman family better get their due justice. I mean, this is from the city of San Marcos. And Rebecca Jones, I do hope that you will take the advice of Audra and do your part in giving, what it is they're asking for. And that is, the surveillance of that accident, who was involved. I mean, come on, chick, do your job. I'm done.
That concludes our public comment, Chair.
Thank you. Now we'll move on to member comments. Mayor Jones.
Thank you so much, Chair. I just had a clarifying question on board policy number 16. Page 108, 11.4. So it says, let's see, make other modifications to the budget in an amount up to 300,000 per project per fiscal year. And then at 11.5, there is a $500,000 number. And I'm just wondering why the two do not match. Is that by design, or is that just we didn't update it, or if you could explain that, that would be great.
Yes, so the $300,000 amount has to do with approval of items not in the approved budget. Whereas the $500,000 amount has to do with approval of items that are contract changes. That means it might be within the budget, there might be money there for it, but it's in recognition of letting the board know when contracts are being amended in an aggregate value of $500,000 or more, because OIPA had recommended that the board would want more knowledge about contracts being amended in larger dollar amounts.
Okay, thanks for that. And thanks for all the hard work, because it is very extensive. It's several pages. I'm not even sure. I didn't count them exactly, but it's quite extensive work. So thanks for the hard work on that.
Absolutely.
Thank you. Councilmember Chavez.
Thank you, and thank you to staff for bringing forward these policy changes today. As a public agency, it is essential that we learn from the mistakes of the past and the weaknesses uncovered through audits and investigations. I'm going to put this a little closer. And that we respond by implementing meaningful solutions and best practices. The updates to our procurement policy are especially important. We have a responsibility to ensure that every taxpayer dollar is spent wisely and that we deliver on the promises we make to the public. We cannot afford to repeat the failed procurement process that led to the error-riddled back office system for the SR 125 toll road, a process where years later, we as a board learned that SANDAG had never clearly communicated its system requirements before hiring a firm. That mistake has cost riders in Chula Vista, Alan, I hear you, and the wider South Bay millions of dollars, both in missed charges and in the cost of switching to a new back office operating system. Can staff explain what steps are now being implemented to prevent mistakes like these in the future? Just a reinforcement before we move forward.
Well, I don't know if staff associated with that particular project want to add to this, but I will tell you that in particular, there are a lot of changes in board policy 16 that have to do with making sure that there's a skill set associated with the people who hold the role of working as a job title called project manager, and that they have the skill set needed to write a scope of work with the required elements to hold the contractor or consultant accountable. Also, there's a new requirement that if a contractor isn't performing and meeting milestones within the contract requirements, that they are sent a written notice to cure if they're behind by more than 60 days. And then they would have 30 days to come into compliance or have a plan to come into compliance. And then if they didn't, information would be provided to the board in a report so that the board would be apprised of that information. So there's some additional preventive measures as well as transparency measures that have been added to Board Policy 16 to try and prevent this type of scenario. Also, there's more requirements for responsibility that have been added. The responsibility requirements for construction contractors were always in Board Policy 24 to make sure that the entities hired had the wherewithal financially and technically to carry out the work successfully. Those requirements have now been added into Board Policy 16 to cover all types of all types of contracts, including services contracts when the dollar amount of the contract will be over $5 million. So it's changes like those that are intended to tackle things at multiple levels to try and ensure those types of situations don't arise again in the future.
And if I could interject here, thank you very much, Julie, for that explanation. I think our general counsel will have something to say if we go further into the specific 125, but just FYI, we will have an update on the 125 back office, all of that coming up probably in June.
I appreciate that so much. That is something that has been coming up meeting after meeting in the South Bay, specifically in Chula Vista. We need to regain that trust from our community. We haven't regained that trust as of right now. So we need to show effort. In addition, shifting the authority to appoint the general counsel under the board of directors is a necessary step. As I mentioned the last meeting, toward greater accountability. It ensures that both the board and the public can have confidence in the independence of legal advice, especially in cases where disagreements may arise between the board and agency leadership. It also helps us avoid even the appearance of a conflict of interest. We have no trust right now. I look forward to engaging thoughtfully in the process, and I really do appreciate the new leadership that we have to taking us to the right direction. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Mayor Ehlers.
Yeah, I appreciate the updates and the consolidation. I think they're greatly needed. Much of this was driven, as it should be, by the comments from the Office of Independent Auditor. I wonder if you could bring up slide 4 with their recommendations. The one question I have is, has the Office of Independent Auditor reviewed these and rendered an opinion of whether or not they meet those recommendations? And if so, was it included in the package, in the board agenda package?
Good afternoon. I'm Courtney Ruby. I'm the independent performance auditor, and thank you, Mayor, for the question.
And could you please move the mic very close to you?
Absolutely. Is that better?
Yes, it is.
Great. We are in the process of doing a crosswalk, and we will identify, as both Julie stated and Antoinette, that if there are additional clarifications that need to be brought forth to the policies to make sure everything's buttoned down, then we will be bringing that forth. We also have 2 ongoing contract audits. We have in May, the sole source procurement audit will be issued, and then right after that, the HNTB audit will be issued, and it'll be a good opportunity to look at those recommendations and also incorporate any additional changes into the policy and bring that back to you. At that time, we'll do a crosswalk so that you know everything's buttoned down.
Okay. Back to Julie then. Wouldn't we want to adopt this policy once? Why would I, after 20 years, it's been 20 years, why would I do a quick change and then come back? I would prefer to wait for the auditor to go through and have all their changes. I'd like to have a written letter, much like an audit opinion, but lighter, that says, we have reviewed these changes. We like them, and I'd like to see it in the board package. And then I would even go as far as to move tabling this for now and bringing it back when we do have that.
Well, although I see your point of wanting to get it all done in one fell swoop, a lot of times what happens is if you don't get started with at least one step of the process, you can get wrapped up and it can take many, many more months for the process to even start. And so what we're trying to do here is build a starting point, and then all the other policies like changes to the procurement manual, the training processes, the templates, all the things that I mentioned, the forms, all these other things that need to be done, because the crosswalk that is being talked about by Courtney is going to have to take into account all those other things that are going to take many more months to develop. And in the meantime, this would be direction to staff to get started on those things from the board.
Yeah, but I think you're extending what I'm asking for. I'm asking for strictly the policies, and it sounds like you're working on this, and I don't think that would take months. We should be able to get, this board should be able to get to a policy decision as far as how, whether or not it answered the main gist of the recommendations. I'd like to hear from the auditor as part of my decision to say, yeah.
I think the one thing I'll say, and I'm not going to, I don't want to conflict with what you're saying. I'll just say as an example, the training aspects. So in order to, I assume, satisfy Courtney and OIPA, we're going to have to show them all the training materials. So, what we put in the policy says the topics that need to be trained on at a minimum. The actual training materials, putting together all of those materials and then holding the classes for the employees, having them sign off saying they've actually attended the classes, that is what is going to, for example, take a long time. And so this is just, one starting point for getting that done.
And
And that's
again,
not all going to be.
I'm not asking for
Mayor
everything to
Ellison.
be done.
Yeah.
Mayor, I'd like to, may I make a comment
If I
too?
may, I think there are a number of recommendations that are in the policy changes here that have come from this board, requests that this board has made. And so these interim changes to the policies really address concerns that have been raised by the board. And we'll continue, as Julie said, to build on those and improve them as we go.
And through the chair, may I add on to that? I would also like to state, I think there's a lot of great work in this, and would consider recommending next time board policies are brought forward that are in response to the audit recommendations, that without a doubt that letter is included, but not to hold back that good work right now on all the other avenues that the staff has done. I understand it's not ideal, Mayor. I'm just recommending so that the things that you've requested to move forward can continue to move forward. And that's just my 2 cents.
Yeah, so without getting into the detail of the actual implementation, question to the auditor, you support what's been done here as fulfilling your recommendations at a policy level. And that's what we do here. We do policy. We don't do the detailed procedures, right? And I'm looking for advice from the auditor who reports to us to tell me that we are doing the right thing. And I don't see that in the package, and I think that is lacking from a procedural standpoint.
And I don't disagree with you, sir. Okay. So I just want to say that we are in the process of going through the recommendations to.
Thank you. So I'll close with reiterating that I move we table this until we have that letter from the auditor.
Second. All right, so that means we need to go to a vote. Councilmember Shin, you are on the board.
Yeah, just a quick one. Thanks for the report. I just want to, so I get what you're saying too, Mayor. I just want to know, are there policies right now that if we're pausing and waiting, that we need to get implemented now, that the importance is that we do it so that we don't hit a critical mass, meaning that we don't just do a redundant error from now until, like, let's say 6 months from now, when if we table this, or even 1 month from now. So are the recommendations for this more imperative that we change, and it comes with a little bit of a rocky road, but we don't create mistakes of why we're all here doing this meeting and this agenda item?
I would say the only board policy change that would cause potentially an issue to delay would be the changes to Board Policy 17, because that's the policy that has the change in it, allowing for the general counsel role to have the board as the appointing authority versus the CEO.
Got it. I mean, that one, I don't mind moving forward now and tabling the rest if you didn't mind altering that, or if anyone else has any commentary in regards to this.
Yeah,
I just don't want to get us in trouble by, right?
I'll take that as a friendly amendment if.
Are you talking about moving forward with policy 16 and not moving forward with policy 17?
Right, we can table the rest so that we can just get a little bit more clarification and agreements, but however, anything that all of us as a board want to say that might be critical now, that if we do not pass right now, that tomorrow we can get ourselves in trouble again. I don't want to look back and have the public ask, why did you not pass that policy now? And now we're in trouble all over again, you know, tomorrow or a month from now. So if you're saying that's the only one that's really critical, that's the only one that I need to be concerned with moving forward, and the rest we can table and get a little bit more, and we can digest this information a little bit better.
Okay, so what I'm hearing is a friendly amendment was accepted by the maker of the motion so that we will be going forward with all the policies except for policy 17.
We need to make sure the second agrees.
I want
He
to
just-
I want to make sure that this is going to be done right away rather than, I heard 6 months, and to me that's ludicrous. So we need to have it.
So if you were to pause it, Councilmember Hall, that means that all of this good work, all these policies, all of these recommendations for this organization would be on hold for 6 months, and we're operating under older rules.
I would like to
That's not
clarify
what I'm saying.
my
That's not
motion.
what I'm saying.
The 6 months was not in my motion. Again, the only thing I'm asking for is a written opinion from the auditor that the policy changes, not the individual procedures, not all the forms and et cetera. This should take hours, not days, not months. So I
Did
don't
she not
believe it
just
should be
give you a
6 months.
verbal that this was okay?
I did not, Chair. We have to evaluate.
Okay, all right. So
And that's my
agree
point.
to it. I'll agree to it, just to move it on.
I didn't hear what you said.
I'll agree to the change in the motion and move it on.
Okay, so I'm unclear on the motion. Could you state what your motion is?
Yeah, I believe where we are with the friendly amendment is to proceed with approval of policies at 17?
16.
16, I'm sorry. And table the other. It is 17, okay.
Yes, 17 is the one that's delegation of authority to the CEO.
Okay, so go forward with that, put the others on hold until hopefully the next meeting, when we can have some indication, a review by the auditor of the policies and policies only, that they do meet your objectives, recommendations, I should say, as shown in slide 4.
And how long will this take you, Courtney?
When is I'm sorry, Chair, the next meeting, because you have an extra meeting this month, right? So
We have the Board of Directors retreat coming up, but then we've got the 16th is not a meeting, so is it the 25th or 23rd, whatever that Friday is?
that is, yes, we can accommodate that.
Perfect.
Is it the 23rd? Thank you. Okay, all right. And Councilmember Lee.
Thank you, Chair. My understanding is this is a recommendation coming from the executive committee that has also reviewed the policy changes as presented. In my experience and practice, I mean, some of these recommendations have come from years of reviews and have been sitting on a shelf to some degree. I know at the City of San Diego, we often express some frustration that our auditor also comes forward with a series of recommendations and that we often take a significant amount of time to actually deliver on the changes. I'm not in support, I think, of delaying it. And frankly, it's only because I think some of the recommendations as proposed are good changes that we should be able to adopt. If we find that further analysis means that we want to take a shot at changing them again, that's always possible, but I certainly wouldn't wait for a full picture. We'll never have a full picture, to be frank. There will always be updates to policies and procedures that will change with anything that we're doing. And so I'd rather take the recommendations as they've been presented, especially if the executive committee has already made the recommendation to do so. And then also would accept, you know, if we're going to come back with additional updates in the future, that should be a part of our process as it stands.
Would that be a substitute motion?
I'd be happy to, procedurally, I'm not sure how you move on that here, but I'd offer an alternative motion to adopt the staff's recommendations as presented.
Very good. For the purpose of discussion, I will second that. Where's Luz now? Councilmember Molina?
Thank you very much. I am in favor of the substitute motion, and I was going to.
I'll let you be the
second it.
seconder.
Thank you. I do feel, it does sound like it would create additional work for Courtney and her staff. Sounds like there is a plan to do the work as she intends to do it. And I don't see, hearing verbally her state that she's comfortable with us moving forward with us, what we have planned today. I am in favor of moving forward. So again, I am in favor of the substitute motion.
Very good. All right. Seeing nobody else on the board, can we please vote on the substitute motion, which would be the original motion to approve the proposed board policy changes? Oh, now we have more speakers. Lemon Grove, Councilmember Mendoza. Oh, were you wanting to speak or did you think you were voting? Okay, voting is 1 is yes, 2 is no, and 3 is abstain. Mayor Jones, did you want to speak? No, okay, so could you all just push your, there you go. The motion is to approve the proposed board policy changes, all of the changes that have been presented that the executive committee recommended be approved, which is all of the ones that were presented by staff today. Correct.
How did that get off?
Because there was a substitute motion. The substitute motion was to approve basically what we were originally looking at. Okay? Everybody got it?
I hit it, it's not doing it.
Encinitas, there you go. Okay, that passes with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 opposed. Very good. All right. This concludes our meeting. The next Board of Directors meeting will be our retreat beginning on Thursday, May 1st at 9 a.m. This meeting is adjourned.
What do I do with the rest of
My day.